up, guys? Tembo here with your weekly core report. With the holidays almost behind us, we're finishing the year strong with some big hits. Let's get to the winners. Christmas brought us 2 days worth of NFL slates over the weekend, and our members took advantage of it. IPT 007 hit for $2,100. The Guru won $5,500. Oaktown Daily Crusher shipped on 2 separate showdown slates, winning over $40K. Elsewhere in NFL, we're in Best Ball Finals week. Congrats to all our members and contributors who advanced. We'll be covering the final results in next week's core report. In the NBA streets, our members' hot streak continued as well. Dr. Lucky 7 hit for $4,500. Shawnee Wins won $7K. Sweet Boy hit for $23K. And Bossolini 1 topped it off with a $50K shipper in Showdown. Congrats again to all our members. If you want to be featured in the core report, drop your winning lineup in the Winner's Circle channel in our premium Discord. If you're not a member, join now. You won't find a better value with all sports included for one low price. And while you're watching, hit that like button now. Remember, if you're not winning with us, you're watching us win. Till next time, let's keep running pure.
All right, welcome into the wonderful show that is Picking Winners. We got a few more of these. We'll be doing the first round, the wild card round, probably the divisional round. After that, I don't think we don't do conference, do we? No, we'll do the first couple rounds. It'll be good times. Mangone's here, Spread's here. I'm Holden, Simon behind the scenes, and of course, my 2 basketball guys here. How do you guys feel about Broncos Rams outdrawing every single Christmas Day NBA game combined?
I mean, you hate to see it. I mean, it's
you
okay
hate to see it, but you know it's good. Anybody, guys, your NBA ratings went up too, so that was good.
That's good. I mean, I'm sure people tuned in because it was on Nickelodeon, right? All the slime and stuff that probably helped drive that game a little bit more. It helped, you got to see Patrick Starr roast Russell Wilson. I mean, that definitely helped the ratings for that game.
We are not talking about the Broncos on this show. It's not happening. Spread a stare. Again, the background a little bit different. Where's the weight machine, the workout machine? Looks like you have a cat bath back there. What's going on, Spread?
Oh, I'm doing great here. And I mean, I might have to start changing this thing every week, just moving some furniture around. But yeah, no, I'm not surprised that the NFL once again outdrew the NBA. I've talked about how the NBA schedule is too long for the way the game is played now, and the NFL has urgency. And the NFL has a fantasy system that you can actually play. Have you ever played season-long fantasy basketball?
It's the worst.
Talk about a grind. And halfway through, you're like, I'm doing this all for $100 entry fee.
No.
No, I'm just going to go play DFS and take some days off when I need it. Now, I know Travis Mangone takes no days off, but for us mere mortals, right? So sometimes it helps us out.
Spread, my one friend asked me about season-long. He'd be like, which basketball player do you like of this guy? I'm thinking of making a drop. And he's grinding it out. He's got a great team, but I couldn't do it.
It's just like, to get me to pay attention, like the entry fee's got to be like $1,000, right? Because even for my NFL ones, I'm like, it's a $50 league. Like, I'm gonna try and grind some DFS.
All right, guys, let's get into this. It's time. We've got the Dallas Tennessee game that we're going to start with on Thursday night. Bears Lions, which I think could actually be kind of fun. Saints Eagles, where I'm leaning toward the Saints spread. Texans Jags, Niners Raiders, where I saw a report that 60% of the crowd should be Niners fans in Vegas. I think that's a little bit low. I bet you it's higher than that. And then Vikings Packers, which will be an interesting game as well. But spread, let's get into this. We do spread on the betting side, Mangone on the DFS side. And as always, I sit here looking like an idiot. Cowboys now 11-point favorites on the road at Tennessee. We did see King Henry come back a little bit, but Malik Willis is a disaster. Total is low here at 40. I also want to add this spread that Terrell Owens told Odell Beckham not to sign with the Cowboys because he should sign with a team that actually has a good quarterback. Fascinating stuff. Anyways, how are we capping this game here with an 11-point spread? And Derrick Henry might be playing. I don't like taking 11 points, laying 11 points on the road spread. I don't care if it's Malik Willis.
Yeah, this is an interesting situation here. Actually, it's funny. You're another reason we're related is Chris was giving us some insight on this game, and he said he wouldn't be surprised if Derrick Henry was a late scratch, since next week's game means so much, maybe a reason why this line has moved in the favor of the Cowboys. I mean, I know people talk about these early line moves, but usually the early line moves are by bigger bettors. It's not necessarily just money moving it. It's respected accounts that are moving these things. So it's either knowledge or people coming in. But like you said, bigger bettors don't like laying 10, right? Nobody's in a hurry to run and lay 10 points in the National Football League. Maybe an indication that Derrick Henry will not be there. When we ran our projections, I had a slight lean to the Titans here, which isn't surprising to me because this 10 points is really just too much. The back door is going to be wide open. You brought up Malik Willis. You know, I have a nice, interesting conspiracy theory for you, Holden. I know that we all want to say, and it's a much better story, right? That the guy, John Robinson, the Titans GM, got fired for not re-signing AJ Brown because it was a week after the Eagles game. How much of that is maybe he drafted Malik Willis and that's what really started the power, because Vrabel doesn't like this guy. You even watched him in preseason. He was trying to keep him in the pocket. He didn't want to give him an opportunity. He doesn't seem like a guy he wants to build around. And maybe it's just something that he sees. One thing that I always say is these former players, they scout the other side of the ball better than their side of the ball. What did Mike Vrabel do his whole career? He watched offensive players. What did John Elway do his whole career? He watched defensive players. Maybe he watched this guy and said, I would love to go against him as a defense. We can scheme around him. So obviously not inspiring a lot here. I'd love to wait for the news. I do not want to take the Titans with Henry out. I know that last year, statistically, their rushing attack looked about the same with Derrick Henry out. But that really doesn't take into account how much he wears down those defenses and how effective he can be in the fourth quarter when you're trying to tackle a man of that size. So if Henry plays, give me the Titans. If he's out, this game's a stay away, and I'll probably just grab whatever same game parlay JJ throws in the Discord right before the game.
All right. So Henry says he's playing. That does not mean he's playing, though. The coaches might hold him out for that week 18 game because that's going to be really, really important. Tony Pollard, at the very least, is going to be limited in this game, Mangone. So it's a little bit tough right now. He's going to play, by the way, but he'll be a little bit limited. But talk to me. What are the captain options in a showdown? You know, is it CeeDee Lamb that's on fire? If Henry plays, are you there? Pollard plays, are you there? Ezekiel Elliott. Who are the options at captain this week? Because CD is going bananas now. Like he's finally there. He's saving Dak Prescott's ass.
Yeah, it's a nice funnel for the pass game. So I do think it's a pretty good spot for these Dallas guys like CeeDee Lamb, Dak Prescott, Dalton Schultz. You can make a case for him. So I think I lean with those guys. Tony Pollard, Zeke Elliott, they're obviously in play, but it's definitely going to be more of a Cowboys heavy construction. So keep that in mind when building out your teams. Definitely going to be, you're going to see more 4-2, 5-1 Cowboys type builds. And when you see 3-3 teams, you're going to see probably more of those Cowboys options. But spread, you know what Derrick Henry's going to do? He's going to do the old Kevon Looney, right? Start the game and then just probably not play much of the rest, right? The Kevon Looney start streak. He goes in whenever they rest players. He plays for 5 minutes and then boom, he doesn't play the rest of the game. Feel pretty confident Derrick Henry will start the game off in there. And then
I did not expect Derrick Henry to get compared to Kevon Looney today, Travis. You've blown up the bingo card, but I got to give you credit.
I mean, it's a perfect reference though, right? I mean, he's going to play maybe some of the first quarter and then it'll just change, right? It'll instantly just be like, okay, now we're playing the backups. We're down too much. We're easing off of Henry a bit. You're not going to see Derrick Henry in like late in the second half, just pounding the rock, establishing it. They're going to obviously just be like, okay, it's over. We'll mail it in the next week. So he'll start the game off, probably won't end it. Doesn't feel great for the Derrick Henry shares. I just think there's a lot of risk to him. So I'm curious to see what his ownership is going to come in at, because sometimes on Showdown, some of the best ways to be different are making big fades. And if people decide to play Henry at 60%, let's say 60% of the field is eliminated. That is something I'm interested in. So I want to see what that ownership is going to be. Obviously, it's a big talking point. The ownership might be a little bit lower. Maybe it's Malik Willis because you're going to have to play one Titan. So maybe people say, well, if I can't play Derrick Henry, maybe they decide to play Malik Willis as the higher owned Titan. So I want to see who the highest owned Titan is going to be. I assume it's one of those two guys at the top. but it'll be interesting to see what that construction is going to be. And I think Cowboy and the captain is going to be way more popular for sure. You're going to want to look at a lot of these guys. The best option seems like it's probably like Tony Pollard or CeeDee Lamb, one of those two in the captain spot. But overall, that's kind of the takeaway. And you could also make a case for, I'm not a big defense guy, but Cowboys defense definitely makes sense here, probably on this showdown slate. Malik Willis is just an absolute disaster. I guess the one case you can make to not do it is, yeah, you can get the sacks, but like Malik Willis doesn't drop back enough, right? But he did throw 2 interceptions on the 23 attempts. And if they're losing all game, he's going to have to just start throwing. So Cowboys defense is definitely in play as a value.
All right. We got some news here on the Raiders-Niners game in Vegas that we'll be talking about. This line just jumped to 10 as Derek Carr has been benched for the rest of the season. Jarrett Stidham is going to start. So that's interesting. Very interesting. Don't get too bored about that, Mangone. Like button to be great. I think we have 25% off your subscription. Throw it in there. Your monthly subscription, your first payment, 25% off. No Sabre, but it's still great content. No doubt about it. We're going to move on to the Bears and Lions though. Next.
Holden, let me ask you a Raiders question real quick. You're real plugged in with the NFL. I know that you follow all the beat writers and you know, it's by far your favorite sport. What do you think this has to mean for Derek Carr's future? You know, the reason that they're benching him is because if he were to get injured, that his salary next year is guaranteed.
Yeah, I know.
Do you think that means he's out of there?
No, but I don't think this means, I don't think it's good news for Derek Carr. I mean, why are they getting rid of him and not Josh McDaniel? We're going to get to this game in a minute. We'll talk about that. Okay. Let's get into the Lions and the Bears though. Okay. Lions are still fully in the playoff mix. They're 7-8. They got the tiebreaker over Green Bay. If Green Bay ends up at, 9-8 and the Lions can win out at 9-8, Seattle's ahead of them. The Commanders are ahead of them. So it's very, very possible that the Lions don't mess this up and they get into the playoffs. Here's the lines. Lions, 6-point favorites at home. 52 is the total. You've got Justin Fields. This was an interesting note I read today. Justin Fields says his foot is fine. There's swelling and his left shoulder continues to hurt him and it doesn't affect him much throwing. It bothers him more running. Very interesting. That'll be a talk that we have with Mangone on the DFS side, but do you want to lay 6 with the Lions? And the total here, 52, just blows every other game away. So talk to me here. Spread. What about the side and the total?
I'm so glad we put this one on the list today, Holden, because this is one of the biggest edges Tyler and I found this week making the NFL playbook. We have the Lions projected to cover the spread. And then you're going to say, okay, we're laying 6 in the NFL. But the Chicago Bears really had a weird trade deadline, right? They added Chase Claypool. They said, we're going to try and get our young quarterback some weapons. Okay, that's great. You gave up a second-round pick for it. We could argue whether or not that was smart. But then you shipped off your 2 best defenders from a defense that wasn't that good to begin with. And we've seen the results. Since that trade, this has been one of the worst defenses in the NFL. The Lions coming off a 2-game road trip, they were able to kind of quell some doubts, right? They got, Goff can't play outdoors. This team can't play outdoors. They get the win over the Jets. Then kind of what we all predicted as far as the dome team being outside, the high-powered offense, really lay a stinker against the Panthers. But I'll tell you what, for betting this week, I like them coming off that loss. The team had won 5 out of 6 going into that game against the Panthers. Now they get brought down back to earth. They have definitely some things on the tape that they can look to improve. The Carolina Panthers, though, I don't want to say they have like a really good defense, but I would say for a team that's as bad as they are, they have an average defense, right? And you look at that record and you think it would be below average. Now you go against the worst defenses in the league. You're back at home. You're on the track. You're built around speed. Should be a great opportunity for Jameson Williams, who I think that even if he doesn't put up big statistics, and of course, Travis will talk about his fantasy impact, I think he helps that team so much because, from watching football all these years, just a guy grabbing 2 safeties, even if he doesn't get the targets, and opens up a lot for these other players. And the Lions have the other skill players to take advantage of it. Amon-Ra St. Brown. I'm sure Travis is going to be talking about him. And of course, TJ Hawkinson at the tight end position, who made one of the best catches we've seen. Oh no, TJ Hawkinson's on the Vikings, excuse me. But it's going to open things up for the tight end position there on the Detroit Lions. I really like the Lions here. We're laying it. Projections love the Lions. Tyler and I agreed. We're going to take the Lions.
All right. Very good. We should have a shootout here, right, Mangone? I mean, looking at at least on the Lions side, Bears defense is a mess. Jared Goff gets to go home. They're sitting there playing on the turf. We'll see what Justin Fields can do. Justin Fields has not been, really since the injury, has not blown up like he did before the injury. What do you want here? Because this will be the most popular DFS game, right? Just look at the total, and the team total for Detroit is 29. Only Kansas City has a total that high.
Yeah, the Lions side will probably be very popular. Like, you'll see people on Goff. They'll be maybe debating Swift versus Williams a little bit just for a value play, but it's definitely tough to take. You have to understand the floor on someone like Swift and Williams. Amon St. Brown at 7.8K, TK Chark. I mean, all these guys, all these receivers are in play as punt options, but everyone's going to key in on the St. Brown. So yeah, I think people are going to look at the Lions side of the ball. They are going to look at the Bears, and they're going to make some considerations on that side too. Cole Kmet is going to be one of those tight ends that I think you're going to want to consider. He is a little bit pricier than you would like. I mean, when you look at Cole Kmet, you're not typically paying into this 4K range. So that's something kind of to call out, but I do think he's a good play because I don't think there's a lot of good punt options at the tight end position anyways. So I do think Cole Kmet in the conversation for me this week as a tight end, even at 4.5K, just gets a really good matchup. I really like Justin Fields this week. I want to find out what's going on with him, though. We'll know this later on in the week. There are talks of him being shut down. Then there's talks of him not being shut down. There's talks of him wanting to get that rushing record. And the guy is definitely, yes, he hasn't blown up, Holden. You're right. Like, he didn't blow up against the Eagles. But you know what he did do against the Eagles first came back? 15 rush attempts. 15 design rush attempts is pretty good. Buffalo, only 7, which, yes, not great, but that game was a little bit of an anomaly type game where the weather was really impacted. Also, they were losing early on, where sometimes when you're losing, you got to abandon the situations and kind of throw it a bit. And scores 35-13, right? When you're down, like, I don't know, whatever, they were probably down at one point, like 28-6, like, you know what you're going to do? You're not really sitting there in the fourth quarter, sitting there running and killing your life. This game is going to be competitive. It's also in a dome. And last time he played against this team, pretty sure he blew up. That was the game he had 43.38 DK points. And Holden, he got 43.48 with 167 passing yards. I mean, the dude absolutely went off. If you promised me he would rush the ball like he's been recently in that like 13 to 15 range, sign me up for Justin Fields. Obviously, I want to listen to some coach speak, see what they're really trying to plan to do with him. That's going to be really important and key. But if we have a normal Justin Fields, gotta love him here in this spot. Definitely going to be a play that I want to get some interest in. The Bears pass catcher, I talked about Cole Kmet. Claypool, he was at what?
Love the Kmet.
Yeah, Kmet's. You know what's nice too, Holden? You don't have to worry about like your tight end position, and like you just pair it up with your quarterback. So if your quarterback scores a touchdown, so does Kmet. It just comes together. So I think he's going to be a good play. You could take a chance on some of these other options that are going to be in. I mean, I don't know if Claypool's going to be in, but Pettis, Pringle. I mean, you could take chances on these guys, but you got to understand the floor is low, and you're playing it because of what it can do for your full lineup, and you're doing that because of what can it get you. It can get you a Monra St. Brown at 7.8K, who's been an absolute monster this year. If you look, I mean, I look since week 8, his lowest amount of targets are 8 targets, and that's with Jamison Williams coming back, the emergence of DJ Chark. So dude's been an absolute monster, gets a game in a dome, have to like St. Brown, like Chark, like all these guys. Going to be a good game to stack up. Just kind of got to get those right pieces. And I really feel confident in playing Justin Fields this week. But I mean, my opinion can change on Friday. We'll obviously talk about it on the cash show if you want to get my opinion on Justin Fields and what I'm going to do with him there. And, we'll hear the news on Saturday, and then, we'll make adjustments with the content by the time Sunday rolls around. And I think Justin Fields will be someone that's going to be a player that we are very interested in this week.
Okay. There's game number 2. Thumbs up would be great. Do have a question in the chat here. Are you going to play one-on-one spread at basketball? I don't know. I can't even play basketball again. My days are over. Tear the Achilles during a basketball game, not going to bother with it. Second of all,
are you even going, Holden?
That's the other thing. Like,
yeah, who knows if he's going?
They're not going to meet my demands. Then I'm not going to go. Again,
what are these demands?
The demand is now if it's a rug, I wanted a red carpet rolled out in front of Tony's house. A towel, just something red, blood, anything I can walk on into Tony's house that's red. Second thing is I'm not staying in the shitty hotel that they're putting everybody. I'm not staying at Holiday Inn Express. It's just not happening. Either give me an Airbnb or a nice hotel.
After 3 or 4 years at VSiN, you've got that spoiled. Just because VSiN gives you a red carpet, now you expect to win every single place you go.
I mean, they did give me a suite at the Circa. It's nice, man. You know, like I'm not coming out to. First of all, it's Cincinnati. Second of all, if I'm going to Cincinnati. Third of all, the NCAA tournament's here this year. Spread. You know what I might do? Just fly out to Tony's like on Monday and Tuesday, and if anybody else is there, I'll say hi to you, and then I'll come back home.
Interesting.
I think that could be a plan. Mangone, is that acceptable?
I don't think that'll be acceptable this year. I'm being serious. I don't think it'll work, but
what will work?
I mean, we've talked a little bit about it, and I don't want to go into details, but I don't think Monday will work for you.
Monday's not going to work for me.
And I don't think it'll work for you.
Why?
I can't disclose everything, but from what I know and some of the preliminary planning, Monday won't work for you. I promise.
So there will be no Monday, people.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like Monday will work for you. Holden.
What about a Tuesday?
Tuesday probably won't work either.
What about a Wednesday?
And Wednesday could be maybe the day. Maybe.
All right. So I fly in early. I
Mm.
say hi to everybody. I fly home.
Yeah, that's that's pointless. You should just come at the
Why?
normal time.
I'm giving
Why don't
you
you
my
want to
presence.
come hang out with us?
People pay to be in my presence, Mangone. Okay. Mostly elderly women, but you know, you guys will be fine too. That's all I'll say. Just don't understand. I don't think you guys understand how in demand I am. So we'll just move on to the next game then. Thumbs up.
The one thing I'll say is there might
Yeah.
not be a Holiday Inn this year. I'll at least. give you
Oh,
that.
where could it be?
There might be another location.
Give me an option. Give me 3 options and I'll pick one of them and we'll
What do
see.
you mean? Give you 3 options.
Give me 3 options where he could be staying. I want to come out, but I don't know if it's going to be worth it.
There's an idea in place for, you know, a nice little location we might have some stuff at. So we'll see.
Okay.
I'm just saying it might not be a Holiday Inn this year. That's all I'm
okay.
saying.
I mean, if it's a castle, I'll totally come. I've always wanted to stay in a castle.
I mean, just go to Tony's house then.
That's not a castle. It's a house.
And
That's-
Castle
that's-
D House. I mean, on
right.
Castle D House.
Castle D House. Thumbs up would be great. Ho, 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 25% off first payment. That's our code we got going on right now. Next game we got going on is the Saints and the Eagles. Minshew's going to be in there. And I think that the line says that. Spread. Eagles 6.5 point favorites at home. This went from 7 down to 6.5. I don't know if it's sharp or public, but 44 is the total here. You know, Minshew turns the ball over, buddy. I get it, but kind of leading toward the Saints. I've not bet this game yet. What do you think? If it gets back to 7, I'll back the Saints spread.
Interesting situation. So first question I have for you, Holden, you said the line says it. What do you think the Eagles would be favored by if Hurts was playing?
More than 6.5.
Like what, 7.5, 8.5? How many points is that?
Somewhere between 7.5 and like 8. Yeah, 7.5, 8.5, maybe even 9. How many points was Hurts worth to this line? Tell me.
I'd say 2 to 3, but you're moving to the 7. So
All right.
That's why it might only be 2. Okay. Interesting. Tyler and I went through this. The projections liked the Eagles. Tyler told me to lean it. He didn't want to lay this one here. He was much more comfortable laying it there with the game that we just spoke of with the Lions. So here's my thing here. The Saints are coming off a big win against Cleveland. And I got that one wrong on talking touchdowns on Friday. I thought that Cleveland outdoors would be able to take advantage. I thought we'd see a huge game from Nick Chubb. And you know what I didn't count on? Why would they play Andy Dalton, right? They just moved Taysom Hill out there, and it ended up being the better option to just try and run the ball in those 40-mile-per-hour winds. So, of course, the Saints get the win. Now, Holden, you're the expert on this. Are the Saints still alive in this NFC South? Are all 4 teams still alive?
Dude. Well, I mean, they're 6-9, actually. So I take that back. They're not Dunsky. They're definitely holding on by a thread. But problem is that Carolina and the Bucks are ahead of them in the tiebreaker. So they need a miracle.
Okay. So, yeah, the Saints essentially eliminated. I think this is a letdown spot for them. They got a nice win last week where, I misjudged that. But this is a tough spot for them. And I know the Eagles, it's like how much desire is them for them to run up the score. But I think there is, right? They're coming off that loss. I do think they want to try and establish some momentum with Minshew here. I don't necessarily see this team that just is going to write the rest of the season off. If they had beaten the Cowboys, which it looked like they were going to, man, at 10-0, I was sitting there thinking I should have bet more on the Eagles, right? I thought they might have ran roughshod over that team, but I think you see the Eagles defense looking back to that defense we saw earlier in the year that looked to be one of the best teams in the league. They're not going against all those weapons of the Cowboys. They're going to be back at home. I think this is a tough spot for the Saints. I like the Eagles and also like an under here. I just don't see the Saints putting up a lot of points. And if you want to take a different one of that, Saints team total under. I think this Eagles defense gets back on form this week after giving up 40 points last week.
Okay. Mangone, let's talk DFS wise. We're going back to Taysom Hill. Is there really any reason to do that? The running game. I mean, AJ Brown, Devontae Smith. What do you want to do here with Gardner Minshew under center?
Yeah,
Likely.
Likely under center. 5.5K, not as cheap as it was before. He's definitely in play. It's not like you can ignore him, but I think there's other options I'd rather prefer. You could make a case for Miles Sanders at 5'9" is cheap enough that he could have a game in the 20s, right? And it could be worth it. So that's something you could take a chance on if you'd like. I think ownership's going to depend on how you want to tackle that. Kamara at 6'9", that's a tough price tag. Yes, I know it doesn't feel like that's the case, but what he's done against Atlanta and Cleveland the past week, I just don't think it's cut it that much for me. So I'm not dying to get there. I know the Eagles are a little bit of an easier team to run it against, but I just don't think it's worth it, especially with the vulturing equity of Taysom Hill there, right? He can always cause some problems. So is he, what is he on FanDuel? Let me go check, just because I know Big T had him in his core last week, and I actually played him at the tight end position, and he
had a nice game, man.
Yeah, because of how bad tight end is, he's in the conversation. Now the price has been it's been really high. And even last
6'8" on FanDuel, dude.
6'8". Yeah, no, never mind.
Can't do that.
That's too high. Sorry. But I just wanted to ask it, unless we get an egregious amount of value, which we could, it's late in the year, but I don't see myself going to Taysom Hill, wrong Hill there. So yeah, let's go back to Philadelphia and talk about AJ Brown, Devonta Smith. One reason we've absolutely loved them is because Dallas Goedert wasn't there. Dallas Goedert's back, 3 targets last week. If you go back and look, though, this game was a different game, right? When you play when you have the Eagles Cowboys and the game is like a shootout back and forth, 40-35 or whatever the ending game was, you saw AJ Brown get 8 targets, saw Devonta Smith get 12. There is definitely a chance this team gets up on the Saints and the game doesn't interact, right? And if the game doesn't interact and the Saints aren't able to keep it close, well, they're just going to establish the run and just go out that game. So that is a concern there to think about. So I think Devonta Smith, AJ Brown, they're in play, but those prices are more elevated than they were in the past. Dallas Goedert's back. It's just something to think about with Gardner Minshew being the quarterback. So I'm not as excited as those options. The one thing that could maybe help turn around my excitement is maybe the low ownership on the plays. But again, I don't think it's a spot I'm going to get too excited about. I think if anything, maybe Miles Sanders could be a really contrarian tournament option that could maybe have some upside. But again, I need to see that ownership. If Olave is out and he's 6.1K, I think you could consider him in tournaments with the trailing script, but I think I want him out, and then I can consider Shaheed. Shaheed at 4K is a wide receiver 1. He's been playing really well. I just don't think it's a guy that we can completely ignore. And don't ignore Juwan Johnson. I mean, he definitely has the upside at 3.5K to be a tight end that gets you double digits and is on the winning lineup and allows you to play enough of these value plays. So I think some of these pass catching value plays in the Saints are kind of intriguing in this spot.
I'm with you. And Juwan had a down game but doesn't he lead tight ends and touchdowns that's not named Travis Kelce? I think the dude scored 7 times this year. So
there's definitely, I wouldn't be surprised by it. It's funny, I was going to play him that week where he got the 22, but last second I made the change and I was kind of kicking myself. But hey, Juwan Johnson definitely, again, at this price has that upside, and you just can't ignore that. And he's really shown it throughout the season, and it's going to be a trailing script. You can make an argument that Philadelphia is a lot better against wide receivers than tight ends, where it could cause a bit of a funnel to help Juwan Johnson out throughout the game.
All right. We'll move on to the Niners and Raiders because this is a game we're going to be talking about for a little bit. You asked me, Spread. You said, what does this mean for Derek Carr's future since he's been benched? It's not good, is it? Like you said it. If he plays and he gets injured, that contract's locked in for the next 2 years. So it does look like this is the end for Derek Carr. I'm going to try and find Stidham's price. It's got to be what, mint price? It's got to be, right? Boy, this is not good. This is not good for Derek Carr's future in Vegas. But you know what's interesting, Spread? Before this news even broke, the line went from 6 to 10, which very interesting. How does
that's completely based on that? Means just means the bookmakers got the news before we did.
How?
That's all that means.
Because they're in Vegas. I mean, why?
There's a reason FanDuel hired Shams. Now I know that's an NBA thing, but there's big money in getting these moves before the public does.
So they're hiring dudes to give them the news from the Raiders.
I think they have been for years.
Well, isn't that illegal or no?
I don't think it is it?
No, it's not. They've been.
You can't funnel news that's going to affect a line. You can just do that without any. All right. I think that sucks.
No, I mean, I'm sure they can get away with it. I mean, it's also.
Oh, they are getting away with it. That's the whole thing. They're getting away with it. So listen, Jarrett Stidham's in there. Devontae Adams hasn't done shit the last few weeks, so maybe this actually could help him. I'm not sure. But again, this thing went from 6 to 10 spread. That's a big move before we even found the news. Raiders plus 370 should be place should be filled with Niners fans. But can you lay 10 on the road?
Honestly, all my preparations thrown out the window here. Tyler and I love the 5.5 there. I was like, Derek Carr's going to get crushed by this pass rush. Yeah. This Raiders team, they just lost in Pittsburgh, and I was all ready to come on and slander Carr. Obviously, I'm a Raiders fan, so I was going to bring a little more emotion into it. And this kind of throws things off, right? Because now we're throwing 10 on the road with the guy that, how much of a downgrade is he at this point? How impressive has Derek Carr been this year for the full game? Yes, I can pull out highlights, and he's had some beautiful throws, right? But he hasn't really been that impressive this year. I would say overall, as a body of work, this is one of his worst seasons as a Raider. If you're just looking at the film, he's missed wide open throws. He gives up on plays too easily. He's not getting through his progressions. He doesn't feed the ball to Adams when he has matchups. He's trying to spread the thing around like a 1980s point guard rather than going to his main guy. But now, you've really caught me off guard here with this line moving to 10. Do I want to lay 10 on the road? I don't know, because so the question you have to ask yourself, Holden, and I think, you don't have to be an expert to figure this out. I think most people can do it because it's pretty easy. Is Stidham 4.5 points worse?
I'm not so sure he is.
I'm really not so sure he is either at this point.
But I also think it's too much of an unknown.
Offense.
I'm not touching it.
Right. Yeah, I know. And that's why you kind of throw it out. I was all ready to come on here and tout the 49ers. And obviously this is I live in Northern California. It's a big rivalry game because although the Raiders recently moved to Las Vegas, right, for how many years, it's about 50-50, especially in Sacramento, of Raiders and Niners fans. So it's a lot of fun, a lot of trash talk going back and forth. And I was going to go tout against my favorite team. Now, I'll rerun the projections. I'll talk to it with Tyler, but I don't think I'm going to downgrade the Raiders 4.5 points for Stidham. What do you think, Travis? How much worse than this version of Derek Carr that we've seen, which has been anything but impressive this year, is Jarrett Stidham, a guy who actually knows McDaniel's offense probably better than Derek Carr does?
Yeah, but Stidham's tough.
Look at Mangone. He's like depressed talking about this.
It's hard to talk up Jarrett Stidham, and is he going to throw to Devontae Adams? I guess that's one thing you can make a case for. But
4,100 on DK.
That's one thing that backups do, right? Is they don't overthink things.
They also it's not just a backup, right? It's a backup against a good defense. This dude's going to get slaughtered. I just and they also said they're just going to him the rest of the way, right? It's not Carr, so he's gonna be in there for the whole game, and it could be a disaster. I could not imagine going to the window. Like, imagine like getting up and pulling $100 out of your pocket spread, walking to the window and being like, Raiders plus 9.5. Like, I couldn't.
I'll tell you what, though, Travis, when you're doing that, you're just taking the team names out of it. You're taking everything out of it. And you're saying, I'm taking 10 points in a National Football League game where, regardless, like, all these guys are pros. This isn't the college level of talent disparity.
Can I get 10? Is it 10 or is it 9.5?
I'm looking right now on Bookmaker. What do they have us at?
I definitely care.
I got plus 10, minus 105.
So here's the other thing.
It's probably going to go to 10.5.
It's Wednesday. Let's wait for 10.5. Like, if you're really going to bet this, just keep waiting. Like, I would keep waiting and grab 10.5. I would get that hook if I really wanted to go there and do that. I mean, the one thing you can make an argument for, this game is in that dome, and like, I know field goals don't win football games, but they have a great kicker, right? I mean, they have a kicker that, like, if you're at 55, he'll nail those every single time. So, like, at least that'll help save you. And the fact that I'm saying that makes me not want to, put money on the Raiders. Like, it's a gross one. And I mean, I have trouble betting these ones, especially when it's like these spots. Like, I like when I actually have more competent teams like getting those kind of points, and it seems really tough for someone like Jarrett Stidham to trust here.
So, it's funny when you do power rankings and you're just going off, the normal stats that everyone loves, DVOA, yards per play. The Raiders are actually in the middle of the pack. They're not this terrible team.
Yeah, but like, they are gonna. Do you trust Josh Jacobs? Did you hear his interview? He's
pissed off. I
He's
can't
1, 2,
believe
3
they're
Cancun,
bringing
man.
McDaniel
He's out.
back.
Like, you don't want to be there.
I can't believe they're bringing McDaniel back, man.
But after you talk all that smack, aren't you a little more motivated to go out there and prove your point? Like, I'm a badass.
I mean, dude, like, at this point, like, it's like they say in the NBA, spread 3-2-1 Cancun, man. We out. Like, I mean, that's how I am if I'm Josh Jacobs. I'm ready to hit Cancun. I'm good. Like, the season's over.
All right. That could be true.
If I look to my right,
I don't know if I buy that. Number one, he's on a contract year. This tape matters. He's a running back. I mean, it's like,
he's shown enough tape.
It's not like he needs to be invested in prep. Like, you hit the hole.
I think Josh Jacobs has gotten his contract. Someone's going to pay him. I don't know who is, but someone's going to. I don't think these next 2 games are going to.
So you don't think that, like, calling out your team publicly and then putting 2 duds on a tape after you do that would lower your value? Because
I don't know if he's going to get as much work. They do like to mix in Abdullah and Brandon Bolden. If you want to talk about getting the Patriots band back together, I mean, Jarrett Stidham and Brandon Bolden. I mean, there you go. I mean, it's just, I just think they could mix in the running backs more than you think. But the season's over. I mean, we know what Josh Jacobs is. Why wouldn't you?
Okay, so let's say we know that Jacobs is leaving. We know that McDaniels is coaching for his job. Why wouldn't he run him into the ground?
I mean, he's not coaching for his job. Do you know why he's not coaching for his job? Because they don't have any money to fire him and hire a new coach. They literally can't afford it. How
are they not printing money in Las Vegas?
They've said it. They fired so many guys that they just can't keep firing these head coaches. Like, and here's the thing. Why would you play Josh Jacobs when you could play Zamir White? Is he going to be active for this game? If he's able to play, I'm playing Zamir White, the rookie, over Josh Jacobs more if I'm the coach. But I don't know. We spent too much time talking about backup running backs in the Raiders. I'm definitely going to say
that. So you're not playing Stidham at 4,100.
No, there's no. This game sucks from a DFS perspective.
Okay,
it's very bad. Devontae Adams should not be 8.5. He should be like 7.5. So I should consider rostering him. That's one of the things I think should happen. Not playing no Raiders, and then on the Niners side, you could make a case for Kittle, but he's getting pricier. Brandon Ayuk at 6.3 with him being the WR1. I don't mind it. If you have the money to pay for Christian McCaffrey, it's not the worst idea, but the problem is you have to make a case for Austin Eckler and Barkley versus McCaffrey. And I think with the volume that McCaffrey has been seeing, there is some reasons to be concerned a little bit, but I think he is a good Ross points spend up option against this Vegas defense. And Brock Purdy at 5.5 is not the craziest idea at quarterback.
All right, let's move on. It's going to be a 425 game. They've got the Vikings and the Packers, and this is a really important game for the Packers. And I've actually been to some Vikings Packers game. They hate each other. Like, the fan bases hate each other. It's a border war there. It's a fun game.
I've been to that game, Holden. It was a Sunday Night Football Packers one.
Ooh.
It was Brett Favre's last game as a Viking in Green Bay. It was awesome.
My games were up in Minnesota, though. I went to those games there. There were some pretty bad teams. Spread, do you remember Don Majkowski, the Magic Man?
The Magic Man. He was the quarterback before Favre, right?
He was. Yeah, I saw him. Saw a little Favre action. Good stuff. Good times. Vikings 3-point dogs on the road, plus 163 money line, 49. We got a healthy total in this one. Spread 49 is the total. Vikings still got a shot at home field advantage if the Eagles drop these next 2 games and they win out. And then we know the Packers have to win out, and they're going to need some help too. They're going to need the Lions to lose a game. They're going to need the Seahawks to lose a game, and they're going to need the Commanders to lose a game as well. But it's worked out so far. You want to back the pack here? 3 points?
No, but I'm going to.
3-point favorites at home. The Vikings are not. The Vikings are going to get bounced early. It's just going to happen.
Yeah, you know what? I was kind of high on the Vikings, and maybe this is from, me playing more DFS and Justin Jefferson just printing every week and, not every week, but, so many dominating performances. And, of course, a couple great highlight wins where they pulled things out. Of course, they did it again this weekend against the Giants, win 27-24 on, what was that, a 61-yard kick? I mean, these guys, they just find new, cool ways to win. It's like, they're making a cool movie. And every game comes down to a Hollywood ending. Now they head outside. We know that's going to be an issue against the Green Bay team that is fighting its form at the right time. And maybe that's what this Green Bay team needed. Maybe they were suffering from the weight of expectations. They kind of lost all the attention. People would start writing them off, and all of a sudden they start playing better. This was a tough one. I was telling Tyler, when I make my projections, sometimes I'm, because I'm just punching the numbers in and then I go and I put them on the playbook. And so when I'm entering, I'm hoping for certain teams to come up, right? So I was kind of hoping, hey, maybe I'll get some Vikings love here. But no, show a definitive edge to the Packers here. They are at home, and I'm not surprised because when you're looking at, go back to that Raiders team, right? If you're just going just stats, the Raiders actually grade out higher than the Minnesota Vikings do. The Minnesota Vikings could be the 2-3 seed here in the NFC. In fact, I think they're still alive for the 1 seed with that Eagles loss last week here. But statistically, it's going to tell you the Raiders are the better team, right? So that's why we don't want to trust on NFL statistics too much. But on a game where I'm really struggling to find a side, because Minnesota is a team that I know that I personally in my head have overvalued this year. I don't want to go back there. Now they go back outside. The numbers told me I'm right too. I'm going to take the Green Bay Packers, Holden.
All right. Well, Packers action at home. So, Mangone, all right, it's going to be outdoors. It's going to be cold. Who cares? As long as it's not windy, right? Cousins, is he in play? Rodgers just doesn't seem like he's ever in play. We got some big time running backs in this game. Let's start with Justin Jefferson. 9.5. Is he worth it this week?
Probably, but we need value, right, to be able to make it happen. So that's going to be one of the things to mention. Holden, I was also wondering if you're going to tell me back in your day when you went to go to Vikings games, if you watched like Fran Tarkenton. I didn't know how old you were. So
what a dick. What a horrible line. But you know what? I had said the same thing. So good job, Mango.
Well, that's what I stepped at.
Fran Tarkenton. Yeah, Bart Starr too. I watched Bart Starr. I was at the coldest game in the history
of the Ice
Bowl.
Bowl.
So. I was at the Ice Bowl. Yeah. Me and
if you look carefully in Super Bowl III, when who's the guy that's smoking the cigarette at halftime, Holden?
Oh, Len Dawson.
Yeah, Holden's in the background there, actually. Firing up his
was I? Yeah, you can find my little face everywhere. And then me and George Hallis used to have beers once in a while. What's up, Mangone? What do we got here?
Yeah, I gotta like Justin Jefferson though. Great play. I just have to have the money to spend for him. We could make a really good argument if Aaron Jones' ankle is not in good shape. It could be the AJ Dillon show at 5.8K. Really strong value, one that we might be loading up into cash games and tournaments. So it could be a really strong option. We have some other injury news on this Packers side of the ball. Christian Watson. We're waiting to see what happens with him. Yeah. He's considered day-to-day with that hip, but Lazard 5'4", Romeo Doubs 4'7", Randall Cobb 3'8". All these guys are going to be in the conversation this week if Watson is out. And if Watson's in, you're still going to like Lazard and Dobbs a little bit. But if Watson's out, it's definitely going to give them a really nice bump. TJ Hawkinson at the tight end position at 5'4", definitely could carve him up there. He's shown the ability to separate at the tight end position and be a winner twice this season. I mean, if you saw the 42 game and the 38, I mean, those were big weeks, and he's had some other double-digit weeks that have been solid. So TJ Hawkinson definitely in the conversation this week against the Packers in a game that you should expect to be back and forth a little bit. One of the higher totals. Quarterback's interesting because Kirk Cousins 6'4", not dying to get there, but I think he's in the conversation. Aaron Rodgers at 6K, I struggle to play him. Even though the Vikings defense is bad, he just hasn't shown the ceiling this year. It's been really frustrating. So I'm not dying to get the Rodgers. And also, I think if the Packers are competitive and in this football game, I assume the way it's going to happen is them having more of a balanced type of attack. I don't think it's going to be, them just slinging it around all game. And I think if they do get down big early, it's going to be tougher for Rodgers to come back from this game. So I think there's other options I prefer at quarterback. Okay. Like those receiving options on Green Bay, like A.J. Dillon, Justin Jefferson, Hawkinson, definitely the two guys to consider the most. Not really trying to get to Adam Thielen at his price. I think, you got to make some fades in the slate, and I think he's going to gain ownership at 5-2, so I think he's going to become a fade for me. I think KJ Osborne has the upside, but not something I'm dying to get to. And Dalvin Cook, I didn't mention him. I know that Packers run D ain't good, but Dalvin Cook at 7K, I think there's other ways I want to allocate my salary at the running back position.
All right, guys, we're down to one more game. The huge contest between the Texans and the Jaguars, which is interesting because Doug Marrone came out. Doug Marrone. Wow. How big of a throwback was that Doug Marrone take I just had on you? How about Doug Peterson? He says he doesn't think that they take any games off. Every game is special. And then I remember his last game with the Eagles, didn't he just totally just throw everything and people got pissed off at him? So yes, I don't know. The Jaguars.
Doug Peterson, Holden. I don't know if you had this on your bingo card, but I have seen Doug Peterson play live in person because
with the Packers.
Brett Favre played the Jets in like week 17 once, and they didn't need to win that game. So Favre literally played for maybe like a quarter, and then I got to watch Doug Peterson play for 3 quarters. It was great.
Thumbs up for that Mangone Doug Peterson story. Hit the like button, no question about it. It's a fun one right there. So
just imagine I'm 9 years old, right? I'm 9 years old, excited to go to my
No, I've heard enough of the story, Mangone. It was a good one too.
And then I have to watch
Holden hates stories.
It's not this. I do.
It's like if Spread was like, I was 6 years old and I went to my first NBA game and Wilt Chamberlain didn't play.
George Mikan.
This Mangone is full of talking smack today, and I absolutely love it. I'm here for it, Mangone. So anyways, we got to figure out if the Jaguars are trying. I suppose
Holden, when you were a kid and your parents tried to read you stories, did you just like kick them out of the room?
I was like, shut up.
I don't care about
I literally would tell them
bears.
to shut up and get out. Like either tell me a story about the olden days or don't read me a stupid book.
I can't imagine. Oh my gosh! Hold it. If we all go out to dinner, hold it. We're gonna start talking. I can't. He's just gonna zone out.
I'm not really.
Are you just gonna like grab your phone and check
Spread,
when we're talking
I'm
about
very
our lives?
normal and down to earth in person. I'm not like this at all. Very relaxed. Usually stoned.
I have seen Holden in person more recent than anyone.
Much different, right, Mangone?
Yeah, we had a good time watching the
So he listened to what you had to say.
People think, listen, I'm a jerk, but then in person, I'm a great guy. Like people actually like hanging out with me in person.
So it's like a WWE style gimmick.
I've just been doing this for so long that it's like a different person pops up in front of the camera. It's true. And then you hang out with me. It's like, oh, he's a nice guy.
That's funny. You did radio for so long, but a different person pops up.
You just turn it on and boom, it turns into something else, an entertainer. The other thing I got to stop doing is saying F you to all of our subscribers in the Up to Lock. So that's something else.
I was noticing that yesterday.
Yeah. I got to stop.
You're like telling them to move. Like, why would you even live in? Like, you're slandering whole cities.
Yeah. Just all
areas of the countries.
Yeah. So I'm going to take it down a notch from here on out. Okay. But I'll still do crazy things, Spread. But if we do meet in person, just be ready, beware. It's not like this. It's very relaxed.
So you're gonna listen to like what I have to say.
I'll try to and I'll talk. I probably won't. I'll probably just try and hang out with women. To be perfectly honest with you.
Your girlfriend's gonna love that.
Yeah, she's not gonna be happy. I hope she's not watching. So, anyways, last game here, Texans Jaguars spread. Do you have any interest in betting this thing? B, Texans 4.5-point dogs at home. You might be able to get me interested there. 43.5 the total. What do you got?
Yeah, Texans have covered the last 3 weeks, and they actually have performed against the spread by the best margin. against the spread for the last 3 weeks. And Tyler and I, we were going over the playbook this morning. I threw out my projections last night. And he reviews them for me and says, hey, I think you nailed this game. I think this one is spot on. And he said, this is the spot that we hate the most right now this year. And that's laying 4 points on the road. It's like a big red flag to us here at Run Pure Sports right now, because it's saying, okay, right, we're getting a better team, right? It's not, it's not, -6. It's not -7.5. It's only -4. It seems like it's a good spot, but yet it never is. It never is. Like laying 4 on the road, and this is recency bias, but it seems like this season has been one of the worst bets in football to lay 4 points on the road. So, I'm a big Jaguars guy. I'm so happy that Trevor Lawrence has become a better quarterback, because Holden, you and I are both big fans of the National Football League, and we both know that this league has become so quarterback dependent.
I think Mangone is too. He just doesn't like to admit it.
Mangone's a fan of the grind, okay? If Mangone can find an edge on people kicking the ball around over in Europe, he's going to find the edge there. He's a fan of the grind. You and I would watch the NFL without having any money on it, right? Can Travis do that? Have you ever just watched the game with no money on it, Travis?
I could. I used to play, so I like football for I like to actually like remember when you said everyone's tweeting about Tua's concussion and I'm out here tweeting about
that's true.
Drawing up a nice play. I definitely get excited about a really nice play. Sometimes in my house, my roommates will be walking by and I'll be like, stop, you got to watch this play. This is just, and they're like, okay, yeah, that's it's I find the plays and the designs way more exciting than other people.
Okay, great. Thank you, Holden. Let me amend my statement. All 3 of us can agree that the National Football League is better when there's good quarterback play. And we're seeing that from Trevor Lawrence. So I'm excited to see his development this year. I was going to be really disappointed if he was a bust, because we need more good quarterbacks in the NFL. And I'm glad that Doug Peterson's been able to bring that out of them. So this was a tough one for us, because the projections told me to take the Jaguars here. I had them winning by 4.5, right around there. But Tyler said stay away, so I haven't bet this game.
Okay. Mangone, there's options in this game, right? I don't know how much we want to. Brandon Cooks looked good. Shout out to Crane, who normally gets everything wrong, but Crane, great call.
Gets everything wrong, even though he's won the million.
Yeah, anytime I could take a shot at Crane, it's great. And then, Brandon Cooks is back, man. He's happy. We got Kirk. We got Zay Jones. We got some receiving options in this game. ATN. Talk to me here. And let's face it, man. Trevor Lawrence been going nuts.
Yeah, Travis. Spread, you brought up good points about the NFL product is definitely better when we have good quarterbacks. That's why these minor leagues never work, because the quarterback play just it hinges on it all. And in college, the quarterback play, you get the great players, but then you also get these really, really, really bad defenses, and you get better defenses up at these higher levels, which kind of is part of the reason why. But Trevor Lawrence is in the conversation this week with this Jacksonville stack, because Texans are playing a little bit better. This game could easily interact. It's in a dome as well. I know people are talking about there's a chance these guys don't play. So I think it sounds like they're playing. I saw a report that said that they're going to play. Now, could you make a case that Travis Etienne, instead of getting, 20 attempts, maybe he gets 12 to 15? Yeah, I think you can make a case for that. So that could be obviously a little concerning, but I don't think you can ignore these guys completely. Evan Ingram at 4.4, he's been absolutely popping off. It only takes one play at the tight end position. He catches 1 30-yard touchdown. You feel like you're absolutely mint at 4.4K. You got Christian Kirk at 6K, Zay Jones at 5K. We know what his upside can be. And then the Texans side, and this is why I wanted to bring them up, they just have value at the receiver position. Holden was like, what other games should we talk about? And it was a rough group of games. I didn't really know many to bring up. And I do think these Texans receiver options are interesting. I think Brandon Cooks at 4.8, you can't ignore. Chris Moore at 4.2, another good option that's going to be getting some work. So I do think that we have to consider them, because this Jaguars defense hasn't been good either, right? We're not scared of this Jaguars D. Any team that's playing the Jaguars possibly in the postseason, they're saying, yeah, I'm worried about Trevor Lawrence, but that defense is Swiss cheese. I'll just carve it up all day. So I do think overall we should like some of these options on the Texans, those cheap receivers. And I think you could make a case for Jordan Akins, who's had a couple decent weeks. And for 3.1K, if you're looking for a punt, I don't think he's the worst option.
All right, we got through it. Thumbs up would be terrific. Benair, Again, I'm trying to be nicer to our subscribers, even though you guys are so mean to me. And, if you pay, you can be mean to me. But free shows, I don't want to hear it, Benair. Anyways, Mangone, wonderful to see you. Enjoy your Airbnb. Spread, as always, wonderful to be in your presence. Ho, 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 25. I still think the code works. Try it. Just sign up. First payment, 25% off. That'll be great. Spread, always bringing the heat. What'd you have? You had the NFL show on before us, or was that an NBA show?
No, we did an NBA rundown, and actually, you still have time. You could catch that show before the hardwood show starts. Okay. So you could get like 4 hours of Run Pure content going up until lock. And I don't know if Travis agrees with me. I think this is a fun slate from both betting.
All right, I don't
DFS
need to hear your NBA. I got NBA coming up. Okay, people are gonna be watching this on Saturday. We don't need to mess with this. We don't need to mess with this spread. I love you, man. Go murder somebody. So I'm off to the doctor, boys. If I don't come back, it means I'm dead. Have a nice little ceremony for me and say he was a nice guy deep down inside. For Spread, for Mangone, for Simon, I'm Holden. Get us out of here, Simon.